Hey guys, welcome into our weekend news wrap-up. We're here in the lovely Grantchester on the outskirts of Cambridge. It's a beautiful winter's day. I hope it's beautiful wherever you are. A couple things we're going to cover today, guys. The first one is France. One of the French presidential candidates, François Fillon, is under investigation because of corruption allegations against him and his family. That the allegation basically is that he used his position within the government to put some of his family members, most notably his wife, on the payroll. French taxpayers having to pay and subsidize her role. And what was her role? There wasn't really a role anyway, so there's a lot of corruption allegations swirling around. The big thing to take away from this is these type of corruption allegations feed into the populist narrative of people like Marine Le Pen that government is corrupt, that people are entrenched and they're using their positions to subsidize or fund people for their own personal ends. And so this really helps solidify Marine Le Pen's message, much like Donald Trump's, that the central government, people who are lifelong bureaucrats, are corrupt. So be interesting to see what the effects of this investigation are swirling around Mr. Fillon. Moving into the Americas, Donald Trump's administration has announced new sanctions against Iran because of ballistic missile tests that Iran was engaged in. Now, these ballistic missile tests are, under international law, illegal. But previously, the Obama administration was very hesitant to put sanctions on Iran because the Obama administration did not want to give Iran a reason to back out of the nuclear deal. I don't know how much you know about this, but President Trump, the now President Trump, is very against the Iran nuclear deal, and so he's not as worried if Iran backs out or not. Crucially, people in Trump's administration, Trump himself, Michael Flynn, Bolton, have been very, very hardliners towards Iran. And one of the worries that many people in the foreign policy establishment is, they're worried about, will the Trump administration start to escalate tensions even more with Iran because of Iran's funding and sanctioning and training of Shia militias, both in Iraq and in the region in Syria? Is this going to lead to confrontation, even potentially a war between the U.S. and Iran? Now, this would be horrific. If you thought Iraq was bad, if you thought Afghanistan was bad, if you thought Syria was bad, Iran would be much, much, much worse. They're one of the richest regions they're one of the richest countries in the region. They have a large population and a very large military. We do not want to go to war in Iran. You always have to follow the advice of what Princess Bride said: never go and invade and have a land war in Asia. Don't do it. Listen to the Princess Bride. The last thing is, of course, we got to talk about the immigration. Trump's policy of banning refugees or people on visas from 7 different Muslim countries. I did a long radio podcast, so check that out, where I go in depth, weighing up the pros and cons for either side. So I encourage you to check that out. The developing news recently is that a judge in Seattle has basically put a stay, or has temporarily blocked that ban, and so now people from those countries who have legitimate visas or legitimate refugees can start entering into the country. But it's only temporary, because what this judge wants is there to be a sort of constitutional debate, and ultimately many people think it'll go to the Supreme Court as to the legitimacy of whether Trump's executive order is actually constitutional. So this ban that the Seattle judge issued is only temporary, because what this judge wants and what he's issuing is, he wants there to be a constitutional debate in the highest courts to say, yes, this executive order is constitutional, or no, this executive order isn't constitutional. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how this plays out. Regardless of what side you fall on, whether you support the ban or you don't support the ban, one thing that's pretty much at this point incontroversial is that the way that the Trump administration rolled out this ban quickly, and it was very ill-conceived and it wasn't very clear, has proven to be much of a nightmare for the Trump administration, because even people who might have been on the fence would have been offended by the way it was rolled out, because there was so much chaos in airports around the country and around the world, really. So we'll see what happens moving forward. What is President Trump going to do this week with his executive orders? Who knows at this point, but hey, it makes for some interesting politics, and I know you'll tune into this channel where we will provide the best analysis anyone can buy. So remember, guys, thanks for tuning in. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, and reality always trumps ideology.